Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Becca and this is my new plant room. If you have not seen the videos of me showing you the space, painting, cleaning everything, this space looked very different just 1 week ago. So I will link that video down below if you missed it. But anyway, today we are actually unpacking my plants. It is time to at least care for them because they have been in boxes for just a little bit longer than I anticipated and expected. A lot of them are starting to look a little bit sad and droopy, but a lot of them honestly look fine. The floor does still feel kind of sticky, so I'm hesitant to put anything in here just yet. Maybe at the end of the day, after everything has been watered and like cycled through, it should be fine. We'll see, but I want to put the rug down so that I could put the pots on the rug because I don't have, well, I have my shelves and stuff, but I don't really have the situation figured out yet of what I want to do with them. I mean, of course I have my ideas, but first, before all of that, we need to address them. So let's go see where they've been living. Okay, here is just the absolute mess of plant stuff that exists in my home currently. This is going to be a dining room, and then this is going to be like a secondary living space where we have like our game consoles and just stuff like that. Let's start with the small boxes that are easy to carry. I've got one of my DIY boxes, a box that I got from Sam's, like the bottom part. I was using it, like I got groceries with it. And then I was like, wait a minute, it's like a really nice reinforced box. Let's use it for the move. So that is this situation. There's a couple DIY boxes. Okay, the leaves that were on the edge right here did get crunched, but otherwise they look fine. Thirsty, but they look fine. Everything is probably gonna look thirsty. Hold your judgment, please. Okay, we've got the New Guinea Ghost, Linearis. I always forget the name of this one. Crassia pediolata, I think. Pandorata, Cacta, Australis, and Velvet. These ones are from the plant cabinet. Got another propagation, the Florida Beauty, another Florida Beauty prop, another prop, which, wow, you can really see the roots on this one. My Balawenum, and then the Doriaki. I can hear that this one is cactus. I hear those spines. Ooh, this is the one that has the monkey tail, which I was a little nervous about. Got the Agatillo, Tiger Aloe. Ooh, this is actually so fun because I'm gonna set up the cactus stairs, I think right here in this area. Looks good. I forgot the name of this one. Tephro-cactus something. Blue torch looks great. And Miss Monkey Tail herself. She looks good. And then we've got an aloe. Have a very small box, which I'm afraid looks like it was not right side up. Yeah, this plant definitely got out of its pot. Now that it's unpotted, I can see that it really does not probably need a pot that big. Maybe some changes will be occurring. Oh, Miss Spider Plant. I'm afraid this one I'm just gonna throw away. Polynura Broget. All of the soil fell out. Okay, this does not look bad. We've got the Hoya from my greenhouse, Chelsea, Zedekiah. You would not know that that was in a box for a week. That's for sure. Retusa looks good. This one looks good too. This is a really small leaf Hoya. Plastophylla looks good. Cannot believe all of the growth that it had in the greenhouse. And the Sunrise also looks good. We had a casualty in the succulents department. I don't think this could be considered a full casualty. I will probably try to do something for her, potentially. We'll see if I get to it. The plant is so spiky that it's like, it's leaning so hard. I wish it weren't, but it just looks like that's what it wants to do. I could potentially lift it with some soil, but nonetheless, it looks fine. Got our penis cactus and the crested geometricans. Both look good. This is an interesting situation that I did. I'm gonna bring the camera over so you can see this packing hack. I have a clear tote here, and I wanted to put more in this box. So I just flipped it upside down, and then I stacked plants on top of this, and then put plants like along here, just to make the most of this large box, or I guess a medium-sized box. So I think they actually all look just fine. Yeah, they look great. Hey, my Hoya compacta lives to see another home. Oh my gosh, she looks great. Salus looks good. Lost a little bit of soil. We're gonna have to top it up. Here's one that I'm so nervous about. This is my really long Paradoxa. She also seems to have survived. Oh dear. Okay, this pot broke. Like a chip came out of it. This entire plant is out of its pot. Oh, this was my small Paradoxa. You know what? Since this happened, I might just pot it in with this one because it's the same exact plant. I don't need to have two separate ones, especially because I'm not needing to fill up a plant wall, which was a big motivator for me to have like multiples of a plant. This looks horrible. I'm gonna water it and see what it looks like in a few days, but I might just potentially trash this because it's honestly, it's not hard to replace, but it really looks super bad. So I don't know, we'll see. Another spider plant that just looks terrible, so that's gonna go in the trash. So far we have 2 plant losses. This one looks terrible, but I'm not worried. I'm just gonna cut off some of the ugly pieces, and I think I am actually gonna put this outside. All right, next box, Miss Obavata looks amazing. Bilobata looks just as it did before as well. Okay, I'm nervous about this one, my Pilea. It doesn't look incredible. These are just a little bit more sensitive of plants. It lost quite a few leaves, but it's still alive. There's still some leaves on it. I always forget what this is called, but it's fine. Okay, we've got some Anthurium from the greenhouse. I'm just bringing them in from outside, or from in the room because the box is super heavy. And this table is going to be full after this last load of plants. So I'm going to have to figure out a solution of where they're gonna go. Another Anthurium looks honestly just as it did when I left it, and this one was just extra special, so I wrapped it in paper and it looks very good. It's the Bassier Luxurians cross, by the way, if you guys know my collection at all. And then we have a booby cactus and a golden torch, which look great, and they will be rejoining their friends on the stand. I'd like to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, which is Squarespace. I love using Squarespace for my website because it is just such an easy system to set up yourself. I'm a big DIY person, and Squarespace is the ultimate place to DIY your website because honestly, while you're building the website yourself, there's a lot of help and tools that Squarespace has built into it that make it so much easier. Like their drag and drop templates to begin with, they're beautiful. They have different blocks that you can add in and customize your pages. You don't need to have any formal training in web development to use Squarespace, which is probably one of my favorite things about it. I love that I can just go in and edit parts of my website without having to call somebody else and ask them to do it. So I'm currently using Squarespace as a portfolio to just show all of the projects that I'm working on, share a little bit more about De La Plants as a brand. And more recently I added a portfolio section, so basically just showing like examples of the different types of work that I do so that I can find clients in different capacities. You can start off with a free trial, and then when you're ready to launch your website, you can use the code Becca De La Plants for 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. Thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to it. Now it's time to bring out the big plants, which majority were not covered over, and they look a little interesting, so let's see. Okay, this one is a little mangled on the bottom. Not entirely like the biggest, most concerning thing. As I was bringing it out just now, I was trying to count how many moves that I've done with this plant. So out of my college house, out of the studio where I started my channel, out of the apartment, mine and Daniel's first apartment, and now out of our Missouri house. So that's 5 moves that this plant has survived. Honestly, that's very impressive. Okay, Miss Fern is not looking happy. Mostly just like looking very thirsty, so I'm hoping that we can bring her back. She is also super dusty. I don't even know what that dust is from, but fingers crossed we can get her happy again. And you guys, honestly, the biggest shock out of all of these plants is my Biltmore ball gown tree. It just looks incredible. It's actually bloomed a couple times since it's been in the dining room in quarantine. She's honestly like, wait, we moved? I didn't know. Moving on to just putting these on the ground because I've run out of space on the table. That philodendron is all good. Miss crystallinum is all good. Variegated Hoya obovata splash is good. This Hoya is all good. I always forget the name, but it's good. These are mostly coming from the plant wall. That one's good. Nope, leave that alone. These are plants from the greenhouse and some cacti, and you guys, the Santa Rosa prickly pear, the one that just has the tiny little prickles they get on everything, that was in this box. And I'm realizing that I should have wrapped it up because there are little prickles all over all of the plants that were in here with it. I'm just gonna preemptively put this over there because I don't even wanna deal with it. My staghorn fern survived. Okay, Miss Fence Post was dislodged from her pot. It doesn't seem to be too badly injured. I almost want to just like lay it flat for a while. Okay guys, this is sad. My regale was genuinely up. Oh my gosh. That's so bad. I think every single leaf looks horrible. We're gonna need some serious TLC. We'll give it some water and see what it does first. Okay, so all of the plants are officially unpacked. We have a pretty good idea of what went well and what went bad. Where's my list? So I'm gonna start with what went well. Number one, the plants that traveled the best this time around were my Hoya and my cacti. The cacti last move did not travel very well because I just figured that they would be strong enough and I just put them in the moving truck without any sort of protection, and stuff fell on them and they just did not fare very well, and it took a very long time for them to recover. But this time around, they're the ones that honestly look the best, as well as my Hoya, which I feel like we could have assumed that my Hoya would do pretty well just based on how Hoya are. The cicadas are going crazy. Should I close the windows? I would say every single Hoya, unless it was like physically marked by like a box or a pot, like cutting off a leaf, they look like they didn't even travel. Like they look incredible. This time around, I used boxes for all of the plants that I could. And that was a game changer because so many of my plants look perfect. Like they did not even go through this entire move. And it's great. I'm so happy about that. Any sort of plant that looks a little bit bad, unless it was like a physical damage from another plant interacting with it, or just neglect from being in the box for a little bit longer than expected, they look fine. Like there's nothing necessarily wrong with them. The boxes kept the plants very well protected from things falling on them, and also it limited, I don't know, they're just exposure to different things, like different things that can hurt the leaves and stuff like that. Of course, some leaves did end up having some scarring or imperfections, but for the most part, everything looks really good. There were some boxes that I packed better than others, so we're gonna get to that in the what could have gone better section. Ultimately, I am really happy with my decision and how I packed most of the plants. So now let's move into what I would change for next time. So number one, the larger plants definitely need to be protected better. And this is where I feel a little bit at a loss for what to do. unless I can find those big craft paper covers that they come in when they're shipped from, like, for example, the grower. Not all, but a lot of my larger plants that weren't completely covered and protected did experience some damage, particularly this really long pole situation. There's a leaf that got pretty mangled, but it's really just because it was rubbing against the side of the box, because there just wasn't a way to completely enclose it in a box. So yeah, I'm kind of still a little bit lost on like how to travel with my large plants in my collection, and I do have like a good number of them, like at least like 5 that I would say are oversized, that definitely would not have fit in the shorter boxes. Even while getting the bigger boxes, it wouldn't have worked. So in the future, I did mention before that I would like to use the wardrobe boxes, but I couldn't find any local to me at the point when I started packing. So another thing that I would change is that I would just start packing them a lot sooner, so that I had a better idea of how much space we're actually working with, because I just did not in my mind realize how many more plants and how many more plant supplies that I had this move compared to the last one. Like looking back at my old video from the last time I moved and all of my plants were in the plant room, there's just not that many compared to right now. So I definitely, next time we move, I'm going to start this process a lot sooner, and hopefully we will just set up our lives so that we're not scrambling at the end of the last couple weeks of living in the house, finishing up all of our projects that we procrastinated. We're really trying to be better, especially right now, to like buy the things that we want to upgrade now so that we can enjoy them later, or just like the whole time we live here, rather than putting in a new shower a week before we move and we never even got to use it. Another big one is I should not have packed leafy plants with the cactus. So because everything was kind of down to the wire and I was just trying to pack quickly, I put cactus in with, for example, one of the plants was my, what is this? I never remember the name, so why am I even bringing it up? Anyway, a big leafy plant got packed in with some cacti, and the leaf that was interacting with the cactus was just absolutely mangled. And I don't know why I didn't think about this. Like, I don't know why. But that leaf is gone. And thankfully it's just one leaf, or there's probably a couple leaves on the plant that got a little bit damaged from that. But one in particular was really bad. So if we're like trying to preserve the leaves, maybe I would go the extra mile with every single plant to wrap them in that paper. Maybe just like buying a big roll of craft paper and wrapping each individual plant. It's annoying, and to me it feels kind of wasteful, but it would pretty much ensure that every plant is not going to have any sort of injury due to rubbing on another plant or another pot or something like that, because all of the foliage is contained in that paper. So that is something that I could do next time too. Another feedback for myself with boxing the plants is I should not have boxed like random loose items in with the plants. When it got down to the wire, I was just throwing stuff in boxes, and there were some plants where I was like, oh, that plant's pretty hardy, like it'll be fine if I throw these grow lights in with it. But obviously things are getting jolted around, and when there's loose items in a box, they're gonna move. So, you know, there was some bouncing and then there was some damage to the leaves. I'm assuming because there was loose items in the box. So definitely I'm going to do a better job next time of securing my load and putting like objects in boxes, like leafy plants with leafy plants, cacti with cacti, plant accessories, grow lights, and all that kind of stuff with those types of things, and not interboxing, if that's even a word. I did have a couple of pots crack because the pots were touching each other and they were moving and shifting and all of that. So I could also do a better job of protecting between the pots. So number one, there isn't loose space in the boxes, because I feel like that was kind of a big problem. If there was any loose space, the pots like were able to topple over, but if there wasn't enough loose space, then they were kind of grinding on each other and causing the pots to either like get shaved down a bit or crack. That happened a couple times with one of the pots that I really, really like. So definitely need to do a better job of that if I'm gonna keep the plants in the pots, which I don't see a reason why I would unpot everything. That would be so much work. So maybe like wrapping it with loose cardboard, like extra cardboard. And this type of cardboard doesn't need to be like brand new. Like I can definitely use boxes like from the months leading up to the move. Like I could save them instead of recycling them. Like right after I use them, I could save them for the purpose of the move, which isn't a hard thing to do. It just takes a little bit of forethought, which I'm not great at. And then the last thing is, hopefully in our next place, if we have a sunroom or a plant space, hopefully, I mean, this is something that it was hard to control, but it took me a while to get this room ready for the plants. So they were sitting in the boxes for like a week without being opened. And so next time, if we are in a situation like this again, where I need to do like a complete overhaul of the plant room before I can bring the plants in, I need to at least open up the boxes and like take care of them and put them in a shaded part of the yard. I definitely could have done that, and I just didn't. They probably would have been a lot happier because they would have only been in a box for like 48 hours, for example. But there's just so much that happens right when you get to a new house, especially when you have a young child. It's just hard. So I'm trying to be nice to myself in this process because I did the best that I could. And I feel like I did a good job by getting on this room early and like making it, like cleaning it and painting it and everything early on. I'm just still so excited about it. It looks so different and so good. But yeah, so that's my feedback for myself for this move. If you have any tips or whatever, things that you have found in your journey of moving with plants that you want to offer in the comments, that would be really awesome. I would love for this video to be a resource for people to peruse the comments while they're watching to see kind of like what they could do to be better. I'm actually about to hit record again because I'm going to be setting up as much as I can to this point. I need to sort of figure out my plans for the plant display, but I have a really cool idea for this back wall right here. It's not like there's a lot of windows on the wall that lead to the interior of the house, but I still want it to be planty and I have a really good idea. So I hope that you will stick around to see what that ends up being and how I end up setting up and using this space. I'm super excited to do this whole process. It's gonna be so fun. So yeah, make sure you subscribe if you're not already, and I will link a bunch of my moving content in the description box below if you want to see more videos regarding this move and my last one. Okay guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye.